Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to sift through interesting sources, pull out the core ideas, and basically give you the shortcut to being genuinely informed on a topic. Today we're focusing on just one powerful concept. It comes from various research, including a really interesting analysis called The Mantra That Touches the Heart, The Secret of Empathy. Our mission really is pretty specific today. We want to unpack the psychology behind, those moments of amazing empathy and connection. How does it work? And can one simple change in how we behave really truly disarm conflict and change how people respond to us? We're aiming for something deep here, not just surface politeness.
Yeah, and that immediately brings up a big question, doesn't it? Especially for, people who think critically. It sounds almost, well, too easy. Can one single phrase actually smooth over bitter arguments, get rid of bad feelings, maybe even make an adversary into, well, an ally? We need to look past sort of quick fix idea and really examine the behavioral science behind it.
Right. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the sources argue very strongly that the power isn't just in the words themselves. It's about what those words target. And that target is apparently the deepest human craving. Forget money, forget status. What people universally crave and often feel starved of is this deep need to be understood, to be felt, that sense of recognition. Even in families, people feel overlooked.
Mm-hmm. It's the ultimate validation, isn't it? And understanding that craving, that need, is like the key to connection, maybe even influence. Think about it. If someone feels attacked or misunderstood or judged, what happens?
They shut down. Defenses go straight up. Walls you can't get through.
Exactly. Intellectually, emotionally, they're closed off. But if you can meet that fundamental need for recognition first,
and the defenses drop.
That's the idea. The whole dynamic shifts. It changes the game.
That reflex, though, that immediate need to defend yourself, that's so hard to override in ourselves and in others. So, okay, let's get concrete. What's the main tool here? The phrase that starts this psychological shift.
Right. The phrase identified in the research is, I understand how you feel. And then importantly, if I were in that situation, I would probably do the same thing.
Whoa, hang on. I'd do the same thing. That sounds risky for our listeners. That could sound like just a tactic, right? Like you're just saying it to win. Isn't there a danger it just feels manipulative if you don't actually mean it?
That is absolutely the right question. And it gets to the heart of whether this is a cheap trick or a fundamental principle. If you do use it just to manipulate, it probably falls flat. It sounds hollow. Its power comes from the radical truth it contains. You're acknowledging the reality of their perspective. It's an act of intellectual humility, really.
How does that stop a fight? If someone's angry, they're convinced they're right.
Exactly. They believe 100% I am right. And they're defending that position, that feeling. But when you meet them immediately with, I understand how you feel, you're essentially bypassing their ego's defense system.
You're not attacking their rightness.
Precisely. They can't really marshal their energy to attack you anymore because you've already sort of accepted their emotional starting point. It forces them, even for a second, to look inward and think, wait, if they understand me, what am I actually fighting against here?
Huh. So validation kind of short-circuits the argument loop. It's totally counterintuitive because usually we just want to push back, like defend our own side.
It is counterintuitive, which leads to the next tough question the sources tackle.
Which is, why bother? Why spend this, valuable empathy on people who are being genuinely rude or difficult? Don't we usually just think, well, that's just how they are? Bad character.
And that assumption that someone's difficult just because they're inherently a bad person, that's exactly what this research pushes back against. This is where we need to bring in a really key psychological idea. It's often overlooked, but it's crucial here. The fundamental attribution error, or FAE for short.
FAE. Okay, what's that?
Well, simply put, it's our tendency, our bias, to think other people's actions come from their personality, their internal character. But when we do something questionable, we tend to blame the situation, the external circumstances.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Like if someone cuts me off driving, they're a total jerk.
Yeah.
But if I cut someone off...
It's because you're late for something important or you didn't see them or whatever.
Right.
External factor.
That's embarrassingly relatable. Okay. So we judge their character, but excuse our own circumstances.
Exactly. And the really deep insight here is that character and behavior, they aren't these fixed things entirely inside a person. They are heavily, heavily shaped by circumstances, by environment, by the lifetime of memories and experiences someone has collected.
So if you take that seriously, wow, the implication is huge. I mean, if somehow We were born to the same parents, grew up in the exact same difficult environment, had the same string of bad luck or tough experiences as that difficult person.
We would likely behave in a very similar way. Our actions are largely dictated by the path we've walked. Not entirely, perhaps, but largely.
That just dismantles the whole simple, they're bad, I'm good thing.
It really does. And once you genuinely grasp that principle, even intellectually, it allows for a shift. You can move from that knee-jerk contempt or frustration.
Towards something more like compassion, or at least understanding.
Exactly. You shift focus from judging who they are to trying to understand what made them that way. That cognitive shift, that's the real engine behind effective empathy.
Okay, that's the deep dive. The phrase, I understand. It's just the verbal key to unlock that deeper realization. Once you stop seeing them purely through that FAE lens.
You can actually connect. You're
Yeah.
seeing the circumstances, not just the behavior.
Right. So let's ground this. The theory is powerful, but we need evidence. Our sources give some great examples, right? Anecdotes where this actually worked.
Yes, absolutely. They show how this approach can really transform things. We can start with a famous one about Dale Carnegie. Apparently, early in his career, he gave a lecture and made a factual error, got a little location wrong or something. And afterwards, a listener just laid into him, really angry, hostile, felt publicly shown up by the mistake.
Okay, typical reaction would be defensiveness, right? Or maybe just brushing it off.
Yeah.
What did Carnegie do?
Something completely different. He didn't argue, didn't ignore him. Instead, later on, he actually sought the guy out, called him.
Called him, wow.
Yeah. And sincerely apologized, validated the man's frustration, said basically, you were right to be upset, I messed up.
And the result?
Total transformation. The critic, according to the story, went almost instantly from being this angry guy focused on being right
Or what?
to becoming a huge admirer, even a supporter of Carnegie's work. That sincere validation, seeing the listener's feeling as legitimate, it completely disarmed the hostility. Built a connection instead. Loyalty, even.
It proves the point, doesn't it?
Yeah.
People can forgive almost anything if they feel heard and respected first, their emotional reality acknowledged.
Mm-hmm. And there's another, maybe more subtle example in the sources about a piano teacher.
Okay.
This teacher had a student, quite talented, but her fingernails were always too long, which, for piano is a real problem. It was holding back her playing.
Tricky situation.
Mm.
Criticize the nails. You risk hurting her pride, maybe making her defensive or resentful.
Exactly. Ordering her to cut them probably wouldn't work well. Might feel like shaming her about her appearance or vanity.
So what did the teacher do? Use the empathy approach.
Precisely. Instead of focusing on the nails as a flaw, the teacher respected the student's own goals, her pride in wanting to be a good pianist. The teacher framed it differently, didn't make it about her being wrong, talked about, how tiny adjustments could help her achieve her ambition, mastering the music she loved. It affirmed her goal, didn't attack her personally.
So it aligned with the student's own motivation. Very clever.
It was about respecting her aspiration. Sowing that seed of empathy. I see you want to excel, and here's something that might be getting in the way of your goal.
And the outcome.
The girl went and cut her nails. Voluntarily. Not because she was forced or shamed, but because she wanted to improve, and she felt her teacher understood and supported her effort.
Wow. Okay, so the lesson from both Carnegie and the teacher is pretty clear.
It really is. Connection through genuine understanding beats coercion or criticism every single time. It shifts the focus from external pressure to internal desire.
That really lays out the blueprint. So let's boil this all down. If we're synthesizing this psychology into something practical for our listener, what's the absolute key takeaway?
I think the most critical lesson is we have to consciously choose empathy in every interaction potentially. We have to actively fight that fundamental attribution error in our own thinking. And it's not just about smoothing over conflicts. It's about acknowledging the basic humanity, the situational reality of everyone we deal with.
And the sources emphasize it doesn't have to be some grand gesture.
Right. Not at all. Often it's small. A look that says, I get it. A quick nod. That simple phrase, I understand how you feel, said with sincerity. These tiny acts can just remind someone may be struggling with their own circumstances that they're seeing, that their feelings are valid even if their actions are difficult. It can, as the source material poetically puts it, save a soul in that moment.
So if we had to create a sort of mantra from this deep dive, a core principle, what would it be?
Maybe. Empathy before reaction. Just pause that instinct to judge or defend. Try to understand first.
Empathy before reaction. I like that.
And look, if you need a purely pragmatic reason to do this work, because it is work sometimes, overriding our instincts, consider the statistic or claim from the research. It suggests that roughly three-quarters, 75% of the people you'll interact with tomorrow are, in a way, starved for this kind of understanding.
75%.
Seriously. That's the claim. Walking around just desperately craving genuine validation, feeling unseen, unheard. So by consciously choosing to offer that, by applying this understanding that behavior is so often driven by circumstance, the sources suggest you'll see a real, immediate, positive change in your relationships, your work, your community.
Wow. 75%. That's
Yeah.
sobering. It makes you think. So the final thought for you, the listener. If that many people around you are potentially craving empathy, what's one tiny adjustment you could make in your very next conversation? With a colleague, family member, even the person at the checkout. Could you pause, try to see their circumstance instead of immediately judging their behavior through that FA lens? How fast could your world actually shift if you started doing that consistently?
Yeah, carry that little seed of understanding forward. Don't just wait for a big crisis to show compassion. Use the small, everyday moments. Do the hard work, override the ego, lead with understanding. Turn that little spark of recognition into something that genuinely lights up the way we interact with each other. Go give it a try. See what happens.